You know that every time you lick a stamp, you gain half a calorie? It's true, I read on the back of a Snapple cap, it's true. Man's greatest enemy is time. Time and scorpions. Goddamn scorpions. I remember I was doing cocaine with Abraham Lincoln in the White House. And just as I'm about to ejaculate, I said, Abraham Lincoln, he says to me, he says, I'm going to free the slaves. I said, that's good, you know, you should do that. You should free the slaves. And he said, what are you going to do after that? He said, I'm going to go see a play. I said, what play are you going to see? He said, Our American Cousin. I said, don't go see that. That play got bad reviews. That's a terrible idea. You shouldn't go see that play. You know that in Portugal, you have sex with a walrus, they don't consider it bestiality because the walrus has a mustache. I read on the back of a Snapple cap.
Well, Mr. Wells, these are really simple radio spots. Just read through the script and we should be out of here in no time.
Excellent. Time is of the essence, seeing as I have a Cookie Crisp commercial at 2.
Follow the script and we'll be done really, really quickly. We're rolling.
When I participated in the radio adaptation of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, thousands of people ran into the streets fearing for their lives that aliens had landed on the planet. Some, thinking of alien enslavement, chose to slit their own throats and die in a pool of their own blood rather than be slaves to the alien race. And you'll want to slit your throat too if you don't buy new reduced fat polio string cheese. Polio string cheese, now with half the animal fat of original polio cheese. Polio, synonymous with great taste since 1899.
Okay, Mr. Wells, I'm sorry, but first of all, most of that was not in the script, so if you could please read the printed sheets, and it's pronounced polio, not polio.
I know how it's pronounced. Now please cease with the interruptions. I have a Pringles commercial at 2:30.
That's fine, just read the script and we'll get out of here as soon as possible.
If you're looking for a quick snack, why not try new polio string cheese? Polio string cheese, the only cheese made specifically for people suffering with polio. Filled with all the vitamins and nutrients to help you fight off this crippling illness. If you have polio and you like cheese, why not reach for the cheese with Franklin Delano Roosevelt on the label?
Okay, Mr. Wells, if you could please just stick to the script, that would be very helpful.
How dare you, you insolent buffoon? Who are you to direct me? Then again, well, should I know any better? Only a fool would attempt to sell roses in a fish market.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna move on to the next spot. Jiffy peanut butter.
Despite your incompetence, I'll move forward. Seeing as a rotisserie infomercial with Ron Popeil at noon.
That's fine, the script is in front of you, so whenever you're ready.
Aha! New Jiffy brand penile butter. The only 100% organic lubricant made for your genital region. Made from a rich blend of cocoa leaves and pine nuts. It's the only environmentally conscious choice for couples who care about the earth and also suffer from vaginal dryness.
Okay. I must insist again, you don't improvise lines about a product to which my knowledge doesn't exist.
How dare you speak to me about existence? I once directed Charlton Heston and Janet Leigh in A Touch of Evil, and in the process saw the both of them nude. I'll hesitate to tell you whose pubis was the more unkempt. Existence is futile.
Okay, well, all the same, the product is Jiffy peanut butter.
Fine. I'll move forward, but not for you, but for the sake of the Old Spice commercial I'm shooting with Dom DeLuise at 4.
The thing you have to understand about Vince McMahon is that Vince McMahon is the type of guy who always wants to be on top of pop culture. In the early 90s, there was nothing hotter than stand-up comedy. So he thought it'd be a good idea to import some of that element into the announce team. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think it was such a hot idea.
Boring, and if you find it boring, I think I have a way to fix that. I recommend you watch the Spanish announcer. The Spanish version is a lot more fun and exciting. The American announcer is a little more laid back, but the Spanish announcers, everything is just very exciting. You know, just the whole time it's like, la pelota, campos, like I was like, did they just score? I'm like, no, the ball rolled out of bounds. But they seem very excited about it.
Code 45. No, officer, I don't know how fast I was driving. Some people have accused me of loving Colt 45 too much. I like to call those people my ex-wife. One day she came into the room and she said, Billy D, it's too much. You have to make a choice. It's either me and the kids or the Colt 45. I'm not going to bore you with the details of the story, but you know how it goes. You can't be with the one you love. Drink Colt 45. What the hell are you looking at? Sure, I was alone, but I wasn't all by myself. I had Colt 45 to keep me going. So in 1999, when I heard that George Lucas was making another Star Wars film, I did what any man would do. I drank 7 bottles of Colt 45. Then I got behind the wheel of an El Camino and drove 200 miles to the Skywalker Ranch. After a bit of negotiating, I convinced the security guard to put Mr. Lucas on the phone. I said, hey, Georgie boy, it's me, Billy D. Williams. Bryant song, Star Wars? Yes, the Colt 45 commercials, that was me. I said, hey, George, I hear that you're making another Star Wars film, and I was hoping there might be a part in there for old Billy D. What's that? It's a prequel. Well, great. I always thought the fans really wanted to know the backstory about Lando Calrissian, find out what makes him tick, and why he's so easily turned on Han Solo. What's that? He's not in the movie at all. It's like his character never existed. Well, I see what this is, pure and simple. No Negroes in the Star Wars movies. Is that what this is? Oh, sure, God forbid you put a black man in a Star Wars movie for more than 5 minutes at a time without having him turn in white people for 30 pieces of silver like some African Jews. Then he shouted something about Samuel L. Jackson and hung up the phone, at which point I was escorted off the property by 2 security guards dressed like stormtroopers. The point is, Colt 45 has always been with me each step of the way. Like a good friend and a good lover. Colt 45! It's better than sending your kids to college. That cannot possibly be the slogan for this commercial. Boy, I sure do wish I'd saved my Star Wars money.
Yeah. I love 60 Minutes, me and one person. 27 million people tune in every week. I love 60 Minutes. That is one of my favorite shows because it is one of the best journalistic shows left in the country. It's amazing. They do a great job. One problem with 60 Minutes, the last 4 minutes, which they decide to dedicate to Andy Rooney and his humorless observations. I don't understand the thought process behind letting an 80-year-old man with Alzheimer ramble on a national television show. And it's supposed to be humorous. I've never fucking laughed at it once. I've never found it amusing. He just comes on there and just rambles like, I don't even listen to my own grandparents. I don't need to tune in to television to have somebody else bore me with shitty stories. Like, I've noticed there's too many types of soup at the supermarket nowadays. Back in my day, we only had 2 types of soup. You had onion and tomato, and if you ran out of onion, it meant that the Nazis had killed your family. What is this shit? I don't know, what is the production meeting like in 60 Minutes? Just like, all right, guys, let's break it down. What stories we got here? What do we got this week? All right, Jimmy, what do you got? Well, I got a story about the Yakuza Mafia. They're using their money and their influence to get organ donations, to get bumped up on the organ donor list. That's an amazing story. No one else is doing that. Great. Okay, what do you got? What do you got, Bill? Well, we're gonna talk about how the housing crisis. Actually, there's a secondary housing crisis that nobody knows about. Brilliant, brilliant. Andy, what are you going to talk about? I want to talk about how there's too many bumper stickers on cars nowadays. Can I do that for 7.5 minutes? Yeah, no, logically. Why wouldn't we? That's the logical progression of our show, should be that. It should climax with that story. Like, I'm just waiting for him to snap and finally do something interesting, something of interest. Just one day you'll turn on the TV. You know, I've noticed there's a lot more interracial couples on the street than there used to be. And I think that's a good thing. Back in my day, if you wanted to date outside your race, you'd have to join the military or start a jazz band. I went to the army. I never was very good with the flute. Rolling Stones wrote a song about it. It was called Brown Sugar. Didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what that was about. You know, they say once you go black, you can never go back. But believe you me, I've been back many, many times. And not just the black prostitutes either, all sorts. Puerto Ricans, Haitian mulattoes. All right, Andy, we can't air any of that. None of that is airable. You have anything else we can do? Oh, fine. Okay, I'll try something else. You know, I've been watching a lot of pornography lately. I've noticed that women's grooming habits sure have changed in the last 30 years. Nowadays, they got all sorts of ways to groom their hair below the waist. The Hitler mustache, the landing strip. Back in my day, you had one style. It was called the Dr. J. It was au naturel. Nowadays, finding hair below a woman's waist is like looking for a Gimbals or a Caldor. There just aren't any around. None of that. None of that. Do you have anything remotely airable? Well, I did want to talk about how nobody plays the ukulele anymore. Okay, we'll go with that. All right, guys, that's it for me.
Women! Such a complicated creature. They're fighters, you know.
What?
Women.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
I had a woman in my life who was causing me a great deal of strife as well. I call her Mother.
Yeah, it feels like I can't do anything right. It just constantly feels like a battle.
Fighters to the bone. Take my mother, for example. Not one day has gone by in the last 15 years that she hasn't been ill. Oh, the doctors insist that she should have passed long ago, but God bless her, she just keeps holding on, clinging to life with her claws. She did that at every instant, and all the while insisting that I be there by her side. Always. Always. It's ironic, you know,
What?
that we should both meet on this train. Two complete strangers, each one with a predicament of their own. And to think that there might be a mutual solution to both of their problems.
When you give a solution, I'm all ears.
Crisscross!
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
Crisscross! Double murder!
What?
Don't you see it's perfect? There's no way